Ain-sama, what happens if I remove it, and it's so badly damaged that I can't put it back on? During the Shaltir incident, I had a smith create flaws in the armor before putting it on. If I took it off here and you beat it out of shape, I would probably be unable to wear it again. Ains laughed softly. The guardians before him, not understanding why, took on expressions of puzzlement. Ain-sama? Isn't that armor made by magic? That is incorrect. This armor was not created from magic. I can see how you would think that way given that I, as a magic caster, am wearing it so naturally. But the truth is, I cast a warrior transformation spell, and put it on. During the break before we traveled to the capital, I sent a message to Albedo to have her begin future preparations. It seems it was the right choice. Sustaining the transformation spell, and other magic would both lower mana, and mana recovery rates to 0. Even though he could dispel the transformation if there was an emergency, and use magic, he would be starting out from a depleted state. However, in this case it had been the right thing to do. Without it, the first battle with Demiurge might have been much more troublesome. Demiurge's already narrow eyes narrowed even further when he heard Ain's response. As expected of you, Ain-sama, everything dances within the palm of your hand. To think I would dare to match wits with such a great person. I should have expected nothing less of yourself. As Demiurge chuckled to himself, Ain's back ran with non-existent sweat. Then, shall we begin? Demiurge, I'll leave the battle damage to you. Assuredly. Mare, send the signal. It will be an earthquake, like the last time. Diamond suit, lower fire month, 9th month, 5th day, 356 take my lightning. The lightning spell lashed out, striking one of the maids. Gawaasu, the maid making the incredibly fake cry of pain, was blown away like she was jumping by herself, until she vanished into the distance. The drill-haired maid threw her knives. They traveled in a lazy arc and struck Nabe's body. Kaya, as Nabe let out a deadpan cry of pain, she followed after the maid that had been blown away. And Toma pursued her silently. They landed in the alley, forming a straight line. Ahead of Narbril was the maid with the 2 braids. Behind was Ntoma and the drill-haired maid. This was a classic pincer attack, but there was no tension at all. Then again, how could there be? Back then, there had been the pretense of a fight, but now even that had completely evaporated, and the mood was like a group of schoolgirls chatting in a cafe. So anyways, this place has been warded against spying by Nigredo-san. It should be okay now, is that so? Then, it's been a while, Lupu. The 2-braided maid, Lupus Regina Beta, laughed under her mask. It really has been a while, Sue. This is the first time we've met since you started running around with Ain-sama, Nar-chan. I did return to Nazarick from time to time, but during those times, you were at the village. Oh well, you know how it is, these things just happen. Come to think of it, I haven't seen you in a while, Sol-chan. The same. However, your way of speaking, Oya. Sol-chan and Yuri Nizan were concerned about the same thing, Sue. But it's okay, I'll be careful. En-chan's the same way, Sue. That's good. Speaking of which, why is Ntoma so quiet? En-chan doesn't seem to want to talk right now. That little brat took my voice. I see. Narbril nodded to her. Ntoma hated her original voice, so she tried to use it as little as possible. I want to take hers in exchange. Even though her true face was covered by a mask bug, her murderous intent and anger were still overflowing in her direction. You know that's impossible. Since she is traveling with Ain-sama, it will ruin his reputation if she doesn't come back alive with him. Ntoma was not happy with what Narbril said, but she kept quiet. It was obvious which came first between her master's good name and her own desires. Every battle maid knew this. That little lady was quite strong. What is her name? I have no interest in the names of oversized mosquitoes. Although I think her name was Evil something. How mean, Sue, didn't you guys come together as comrades, Sue? Narbril frowned at her companion's words, so Solution answered for her. That would probably be Blue Rose's Evil Eye. Saba's Sama wrote as such in one of his reports. Ah, that sounds right. Narbril was sure that Solution had the correct name. Nar-chan, are you becoming retarded, Sue? Are you all right, Sue? Can you all actually remember human names? That is no problem for me. I might end up needing to know them during the course of my duties. I took care to commit a few important names to memory. No probs here, Sue. Actually, you could say I get along pretty well with humans, Yano? No problems here. Narbril was slightly shocked to realize that she was alone among her fellow maids. Just as she was considering whether to pay more attention to names, the sound of an explosion rang forth. Because the buildings on either side blocked visibility, they could not tell what had caused it. Ah, they must be getting serious over there. Well, it's Yuri Nizan and Shizu, they're always serious. But if the fight's not over yet, that means they haven't used their real strength yet. If it was up to me, I would fight her to the death. Evil Eye is quite strong. Going by levels alone, she might not be an opponent Yuri Nizan or Shizu could beat. A shadow passed over the face of the battle maids for the first time. Only Narbril was different. She was confident. It will be fine. As everyone's attention turned to her, she continued, Evil Eye is probably an elementalist like myself. We are arcane magic casters that specialize in the use of a particular element. Although this means our attack power increases greatly, it also means that outside of our area of expertise, we are quite weak. Earth type, then, there should also be acid, poison, or gravity, right? Why crystals, Sue? It must be a further specialization on gemstones within Earth-type magic. So she's limited to crystal-type spells, but those are probably quite strong. Bludgeoning and piercing physical attack magic. Seems ominous. If it were up to me, how would I kill Evil Eye? While the four of them were pondering this question, the earth shook. There was a slight difference between that and the shaking of the earth caused by a shockwave. This earthquake must have been caused by Maresama. Then, shall we move on to the next stage? Was that a sign of some kind? That is correct, Narbril. Then, is it all right if we hurt you a little? It will not look good unless we rough you up a bit. I'll try not to hit you too hard, so forgive me, Sue, there's nothing to be done about it. It's work, after all. Diamond suit, lower fire month, 9th month, 5th day, 357. Calm down. Please, calm down. Climb tried not to raise his voice too high as he called out to the people. However, the warehouse had been packed with a lot of agitated people, so his current volume was completely insufficient to get them to quiet down. My child, my wife was taken, Mama, Papa, male, female, young and old voices all blended together, washing over Climb like a wave. He could no longer make out what they were saying anymore. Climb had found the 300 people here at great risk to himself, and they were the only residents he had managed to find. The people locked in this small warehouse had no idea what was going on outside, and all they could do was whine about how their family members had been taken elsewhere. It was a very natural response to the current circumstances, but it was also a very dangerous one. Even though they had not encountered any demons on their way here, that did not mean that there were no demons present. In fact, they had already seen the silhouettes of the demons several times in the alleys they passed through on their way here. If they heard the cries coming from this warehouse, then it was only a matter of time before the demons arrived here. You are the only ones we've found so far. Where's my wife? Go find her. That, perhaps if he raised his voice he might be able to shout them down. Climb, as a warrior, was far stronger than any mere city guard. If he roared at the man, he could easily seize the hearts of everyone present. But Climb did not do this. Climb was the ambassador of the princess. He was here because Renner had seen fit to put her trust in him. If he used methods that terrorized the citizens and made them dislike him, that might easily spill over to Renner as well. With that in mind, Climb found it impossible to work himself up to using harsh methods on them. Hurry up and answer us, my kid's still young, Papa. Mama. Shut up, all of you. It felt like the trembling air in the warehouse had suddenly blown all the voices away. Brain could no longer tolerate them, and his shout, the anger of a first-rate warrior, had devoured the hearts of all the weaklings present. The lot of you are chattering like chickens just because he kept quiet. We're in the territory of these guys, and there's no way to guarantee your safety. If you don't move quietly, the demons will come and they'll kill every last one of you. If you understand, shut your mouths. Brain surveyed the now silent warehouse, then looked straight at Climb. The citizens who were closing and wilted under his fiery gaze and slowly backed away. Now then, Climb. Time for you to make a decision. Climb was largely sure what decision he had to make. However, he had no confidence that it would be a wise one. It's hard to say, then? Never mind, I'll do it. First things first, you lot had best get it into your heads, the next time someone speaks when I do, I'll kill him on the spot. I can't even be sure you lot are all humans. Brain exposed a little of his katana, and the reflected light seemed almost blinding. I'll bet you lot are wondering what I'm on about, but take a look at the person next to you. Are you sure all the people here are humans? The captives looked at each other in shock. Listen up. We saw a lot of demons on the way here. Some with wings, some with tails. Some even looked like people without skin. There were a lot of those. The ones roaming outside might be those guys, you should have seen them on the way in, right? Everyone Brain turned his attention to nodded, their faces pale. Then, who can guarantee that there aren't any demons among you? No skinless demons wearing someone else's skin? They had not been allowed to speak, but there was still a disturbance. They looked at each other with suspicious eyes, and then began adjusting their positions. The warehouse was small, but not small enough that everyone had to squeeze. There was enough space for everyone to avoid contact with everyone else. Relax. If any demons make it here, we'll kill them. As long as you understand where we're coming from, it'll be all right. As the mood seemed to relax, Brain capitalized on it, and continued, but, if the demons from outside come in like an avalanche, then I can't make that guarantee. Don't you think, if a demon infiltrated in here, wouldn't he want to loudly shout that there were intruders? Do you see what I mean by killing anyone who made noise? Oh sure, some of you will think, but I'm human, why are you killing me, but the rest of us won't know that. So for the sake of protecting everyone here, anyone who makes a noise that draws the demons will die. Once again, he bathed everyone in the killing intent brimming from his eyes. Looks like you get it. First up, we've searched a few warehouses before this one. However, not only did we not find anyone, all these warehouses were empty. Taking the area surrounded by the firewall into consideration, even if this is a warehouse district, there should be more than 10,000 people here. Since there's only 300 here, that means there ought to be at least 33 warehouses like this, right? Brain took a deep breath. A question, then. Why haven't we found anyone else besides you? Maybe it's just bad luck. After all, we were avoiding the areas where the demons were on alert. But, do you think anyone could accept that? Most likely they were transported from the warehouse district to somewhere else. Don't panic. We have no idea where they've been taken. But anywhere the demons take them can't be good. Those who understood raised their heads, and there was also the sound of sobbing. And you lot were slated to be taken away by the demons. That means for now, you've avoided a nasty fate. But remember, we're still in the middle of the demons' territory. If you're not careful and don't move quickly and quietly, you'll be killed while fleeing. Oi, you look like you have a question. I'll allow you to speak. The man who had the katana pointed at him asked his question in a frightened, small voice. What if we stay here? Then you'll be taken away. And it'll be by those guys whom you know very well are demons, to wherever kind of hell these demons come from. Brain glared at him, and the woman who had raised her voice cut it out immediately. I allow you to speak. My child is only 3 years old. If I stay here, and go to the same place as him, really now. I have no interest in helping anyone who doesn't want to run. But this guy is different. Just so you know, if your son's been taken to another warehouse, there's the chance he'll be rescued by another team. If you want to ignore that and stay, then I won't stop you. A kid without his mom can live by himself, but I haven't seen anyone take care of their kid to this extent. Brain spoke coldly to the disheartened civilians. Then I'll say it one more time. If you stay here, you'll be taken away by the demons. If you accept this and want to stay, I won't stop you. After all, when you leave this warehouse, there's a chance you might get killed in a demonic attack while fleeing. Climb had to interrupt here. Since Brain had said this much, it was necessary. However, we will defend anyone who wants to flee. I don't like troublesome things, but I'm doing it because of this soldier of Renner's. So I'll protect you lot. We'll move out in a few minutes. Staying or leaving is your choice. If you want to discuss your freedom softly, that's your choice as well. Do as you like. There was no discussion. This was because they were worried that their neighbors might be demons, but because many of them were hoping that their relatives would be rescued by another team, and they would be reunited. There shouldn't be another team. We checked so many warehouses, and only a couple weren't empty. Brain decided not to think too much on the matter, instead gripping his sword and glaring fiercely at the captives, making sure that none of them made too much noise. Climb walked over to Brain and spoke softly. Thank you, Brain-san. You did what I couldn't do for myself. Don't worry about it, all that crap was stuff that someone like you, who serves Renner, couldn't say. But for a mercenary like me, it shouldn't cause any problems in the future. Just think of me as a whip. Even so, I'm still grateful. A wry grin appeared on Brain's face. It'll get troublesome if we get stuck in an endless loop. I get it, I'll accept your thanks. HM? That fellow's back. The thief entered Brain's field of vision. He should have been keeping watch on the outside and remaining on standby. Since he wasn't coming back in a hurry, that meant it wasn't a dangerous situation. What happened? No, Unglaus-san. The demons don't look like they're coming over yet. But like you said, it's only a matter of time. That it is. Who knows, this might be their final objective. Did you take a look around outside? What was that earthquake just now? I have no idea. Maybe the ground caved in and demons came crawling out of the earth? Don't say that sort of thing, that's the worst case scenario. Sorry, Climb-kun. Then, let's get ready to move. Just as Brain was about to order the citizens around, there was a sound of something landing outside the warehouse. The warehouse fell silent immediately. The thief stuck close to the doors to carefully check out the outside. His hand began moving in signs. They formed the shapes that the three of them had decided meant demon. Following that, he signaled, a strong one. Climb and Brain exchanged looks. Then they quietly moved to where the thief was. They saw a demon outside. It was completely different from the ones they had encountered before. It gave off the feeling of tremendous power. Its body was nearly 3 meters tall, and it had bat wings upon its back. Its head was a goat skull, and in its hands it held a large hammer. The demon turned its gaze to the warehouse, and Climb's concealed party felt its eyesight on them. Had it used magic to sense them? It was definitely waiting for them to show themselves. That guy looks really strong, no doubt about it. Brain muttered, and the thief answered. Climb nodded his head in agreement. Climb quietly watched Brain. He had angered him during that encounter with Shaltir. As such, if Brain told Climb to flee, Climb fully intended to obey. Climb, fight with me. Yes. Climb answered in a soft yet earnest voice. Will it be all right? Just look at that guy. He must have fled from a fight. He's covered in wounds. If he were unhurt, I don't think all of us together could beat him. But now, if we can charge him simultaneously, we might be able to win in one blow. I'm counting on you, Brain said as he patted Climb's shoulder. Climb nodded his head vigorously, and activated his ring's power. This ring, made by the Dragon Lords using wild magic, contained a spell that could temporarily increase a warrior's strength. If the strongest man in the kingdom Gazef Stronov used it, he could step into the realm of heroes, but Climb had not reached that state yet. Even in combination with his martial art, Limit Breaker, Mind, he could not even touch the bottoms of Brain's feet. However, it would still grant Climb the power of a mithril-ranked warrior. All right, let's go. The thief stopped Brain, who was leading the way. Unglaus-san, shouldn't you call me Brain? You're older than me, calling me San or whatever makes me uncomfortable. Then, Brain. What should I do? Just stay here, Lockmeyer. That guy might think we're just a decoy. I'll come to help you if you're in danger. Then I'll count on you. Come on, Climb-kun. Although you probably know by now, don't get cocky. Yes, sir. Diamond suit, lower fire month, 9th month, 5th day, 403 coup. Evil Eye grunted as she took a hit to the belly. Although she was largely insensitive to pain, her sense of touch from her days as a human being was not completely gone yet. If she was attacked, she would definitely feel it. In the brief window when her concentration was broken, Evil Eye ate another hit from Alpha. The explosive force of the blow knocked the air out of Evil Eye and sent her flying. She felt the negative energy inside her depleting. Evil Eye's objective was to draw the battle out. As such, she could not use the strategy of converting physical damage to mana damage. Without mana, Evil Eye would be unable to fight. This meant she would have to expend her health and mana evenly. Her mud-stained body was dragged back up into the air by the fly spell. At this moment, Evil Eye saw Nabe, who had been knocked flying by her own opponents. She looked like she had been beaten up pretty badly too. Evil Eye flew over to her. The enemy did not follow. Were they waiting for us to join up before killing us together? Oh, it's you. Evil Eye had been planning to help up the fallen Nabe, but she stood back up immediately and spoke coldly. Although her injury-covered body looked like she had been in the fight of her life, something felt wrong about her. There was no fear of death, or rather, she believed that Momon could defeat Jaldabaoth before she died. Goes for me too, Evil Eye thought. Can you still fight? Of course. No problem. That had been a stupid question. Speaking of which, this woman has exceeded humanity as well. Could she be a godkin too? She had suffered assorted injuries and her clothes were stained by blood, but none of the wounds were lethal. For all she knew, Evil Eye might have been more badly hurt. Compared to Evil Eye who had only 2 opponents, being able to perform this well against 3 opponents, though Evil Eye was loath to admit it, she had to admit that Nabe was better than her. You look like a mess. Not exactly. Evil Eye laughed at the reply, which was so much like Nabe. Although the mask covered Evil Eye's expression, Nabe could still feel that the air had changed, and surprise showed on her face. No, I was thinking that reply was just like you. Was it now? So what will we do now? What can we do? How can we draw this battle out? Evil Eye turned a sharp look at the 5 enemies. Apart from the insect maid, whose murderous intent stabbed at her like a lance, the others did not radiate any hostility at all, though from their attitudes they seemed pretty confident of killing them both easily. Your enemies are there too. Looks like we're out of options. If the numbers were even we might have a chance to win. But if they're on the same level as us and there's more of them, then we'll lose for sure. How about running? If you turned around and fled, they might not pursue. If you want to do that, I'll cover you from the rear. Dissatisfaction twisted Nabe's otherwise prim face. Although even an ugly expression on her face would not detract from her beauty in the slightest, Evil Eye thought in with a rather out-of-place sense of appreciation for a rival. Suddenly, a person was blown through the air as a building collapsed. He bounced several times on the floor, tumbling head over heels before grinding to a halt. Evil Eye did not need to breathe, but she still held her breath. For a moment, she thought it might be Momon who was sent flying, but that was not the case. It was Jaldabaoth. Seeing Jaldabaoth unsteady on his feet, Evil Eye became excited. It was obvious who had wounded him so badly, and knocked him back so far. Evil Eye's vision spotted the warrior standing where the body had come flying from. The jet-black armor was heavily damaged, making it clear just how intense their duel had been. Even so, the man standing there did not waver in the slightest, showing Momon's clear superiority in comparison to Jaldabaoth, who was getting to his feet. Evil Eye's body was filled with joy, and she tightly clenched her fists. Momon slowly lowered his swords, and spoke to the rising Jaldabaoth. Well, that was fun. How shall I put it, it felt real. I could feel myself really battling with you. So this is what it feels like to be the vanguard. In the past, I used to overpower all my opponents in melee combat, so I didn't feel anything, but now I feel like a battle maniac. So can you show me your full strength now? Telling one's opponent to use their full strength was a grave insult. Thinking about this, Evil Eye shook her head. Perhaps this was Momon's true desire. A strong man like Momon rarely had the opportunity to go all out. Most of the time his opponents would be slaughtered before he could get serious. A man like him would be overjoyed if he got the chance to face an opponent that required his full strength. Then, please allow me to do so. Jaldabaoth had probably understood it as an insult, and so he repaid it with exaggerated, sarcastic politeness. As she watched him, Evil Eye was filled with the pride of knowing that she understood Momon better than Jaldabaoth. Then, I shall come at you seriously. Bring it, Jaldabaoth. With those words as the signal, the two of them clashed in the middle of the plaza. Their exchange was like a replay of the time Evil Eye had first met Momon. His high-speed, consecutive attacks were deflected by extended claws. Since they could parry his greatswords, the hardness of those claws must be beyond human understanding. Momon leapt back in a grand, soaring arc. His jumping strength made her think that he might have been using the fly spell. In the moment where her view of Momon was blocked by his spinning swords, she saw him produce a spear from nothing, from the corner of her eye. It was a crimson spear whose point was like a cyclone of fire. Momon hurled it at Jaldabaoth. So fast did it fly that all she saw was its crimson trail seared into her vision, as it headed for Jaldabaoth. Aspect of the demon, Hellfire Mantle, ... As the spear struck, a roaring flame blazed up from the ground, and a massive shockwave erupted from Jaldabaoth. Coup. In order not to be blown away by the titanic displacement of air, Evil Eye crouched down, and tried to weather the storm. Fortunately, because she wore her mask, she was able to keep her eyes open during the tempest. Looking ahead, she saw Momon picking up his sword from where it lay at his feet, amidst the wildly blowing wind. Then he charged Jaldabaoth again. Jaldabaoth was ready to receive the attack. His body was wreathed in flames, and the spear from earlier was lodged in the ground by his feet. As Momon swung down on him, Jaldabaoth caught the sword with both hands. Smoke rose from his palms, and the metal between his fingers started to melt. So, you're able to melt a weapon like this, the ability has gotten stronger. Since it was a blade favored by Momon, an adventurer of the highest caliber, it must have been made of an amazing material indeed. But that was not important. What was important was that Jaldabaoth could summon fire that could melt steel, and that Momon could still talk casually to him despite being so close to the deadly flames. These two are incredible. Evil Eye was terrified. She already knew how strong the two of them were, but her body was still trembling uncontrollably. It is as you have surmised. The fire-type damage was strengthened by a special ability. On closer observation, the flames wreathing Jaldabaoth had a blackish tinge to them. Hellfire, is it? Just so. Even a being protected with fire immunity will not escape unscathed, don't you think? For the first time in their battle, Momon took a step back in retreat, but Jaldabaoth would not permit it. This time, it was Jaldabaoth's turn to close the gap, launching a flurry of blows at Momon. That attack could have slain a human being in an instant, but Momon expertly parried them all with his gigantic swords. While engaged in close combat that was slowly melting his armor, Momon once again reached into nothingness and drew forth a strange weapon. Frost Pain Modified, Icy Burst. A wave of frigid air rushed forth from the weapon, dropping the surrounding temperature instantly. Although it seemed as though the cold could even freeze fire, Jaldabaoth's hellfire burned hotter than normal flames. Still, for a moment, the heat was suppressed. Jaldabaoth's surprised exclamation reached Evil Eye's ears. What was that? It was like the spear from just now. Since I can't use magic, I made up for it with elemental weapons. Although this was a copy of Frostpain made as an experiment, well, I should count myself lucky it turned out stronger than the original. Granted, it's a tool that lets me use a high-level spell 3 times a day, but without skills to power it up, it should be nothing to you. The dialogue between the two of them beggared belief. They were supposed to be engaged in an intense struggle for their lives, but the mood felt like they were merely testing each other's strength in an easy and relaxed manner. Evil Eye recalled something Gagarin had said once. When warriors put their lives on the line, sometimes they would be able to fully grasp the thoughts of their opponent, and it would create a feeling as though they were close friends who had known each other for a long time. At that time, she had wondered what she was talking about. But now maybe she had a point after all. Evil Eye had learned to accept a lot in the space of one day. She was determined not to reject potential wisdom in future. She was starting to become jealous of the closeness between them. The man in the jet-black armor, which had lost its shine due to its melted surface, and the demon whose tuxedo had been shredded by countless sword blows. The two of them who had dueled each other in a domain beyond the grasp of humanity seemed like old friends to Evil Eye. Your puissance is unparalleled. Indeed, so is yours, Jaldabaoth. In that case, might I make a proposition? Momon raised his chin to Jaldabaoth, as though telling him to carry on. If I concede this battle and the victory to yourself, perhaps we can both take a step back from the edge? Or rather, to be more precise, I will withdraw myself from this incident, and I hope you will cease your pursuit of myself. Are you kidding me? Evil Eye's cry was fueled by intense emotion. For someone who had filled the capital with this much chaos and death, a plea for mercy and forgiveness was nothing short of shameless. However, a calm voice accepted Jaldabaoth's proposal. It's all right. Under her mask, Evil Eye stared goggle-eyed at Momon. She could not understand why Momon, who was in such a superior position, was accepting Jaldabaoth's terms. Sensing Evil Eye's confusion, Jaldabaoth shrugged his shoulders. Much as she hated to admit it, he looked quite stylish while he did. It baffles me why Momon-san would bring an airheaded woman like yourself along. A moment's consideration should reveal why Momon-san accepted my proposition. Turning to Evil Eye, Jaldabaoth continued speaking. In order to bring Momon-san here, and to keep others from interfering with our battle, you committed a lot of your friends and allies to the fight, did you not? Did you really think they would be enough to keep the demons from intruding into this conflict? Evil Eye felt as though she had been impaled through the spine with an icicle. The demon army is always waiting for a chance to assault the capital. It was the worst-case scenario. Although Marquis Raven was patrolling inside the capital with his troops, she honestly could not believe he could deal with all the demons Jaldabaoth had in store. A similar conclusion awaited if the demons started taking hostages from throughout the city. But if they defeated Jaldabaoth here, even if you kill me, do you think they will vanish? I have but to give a single mental command, and my infernal hordes will immediately begin rampaging through the city. Granted, their numbers might be somewhat diminished, but how many casualties do you think they will cause in the time it takes to kill them? But then, how do we know that you'll actually keep your promise? If Jaldabaoth continued fighting with a top-class warrior like Momon, he had no guarantee of actually winning. That being the case, why not withdraw all his troops and beg off from the pursuit? If not, well, then if he died, he was going to take everyone else with him. Something like that. However, with the capital's population as hostages, their circumstances were not even. It was a truly manipulative and cunning offer. I see, Evil Eye thought, her opinion of Momon rising even further up. He had grudgingly accepted Jaldabaoth's proposal, because he had already foreseen this development. Indeed, he had no other choice. Then, since this outsider has accepted it as well, I will begin my withdrawal, though it is a shame I could not recover the item. I pray we will never meet again. Same here, Jaldabaoth. Jaldabaoth laughed under his mask, and then gathered the maids around before they vanished via a high-tiered teleportation spell. They're gone. Evil Eye floated in the sky, her eyes looking to where the wall of fire had been. Nothing was left, only a slightly livelier patch of the night skyline. The curtains were drawn on this disturbance. But what had been born of today's sacrifices? The fact remained that Jaldabaoth existed, a demon with power surpassing the demon gods by far. And against him stood Momon, a top-ranked warrior. What would the world make of these two once the word spread, and how would the world change after that? Evil Eye shook her head to scatter the thoughts which had blended into a big pile inside it. She would consider these things slowly, in the future. There was something far more important than this. Evil Eye landed on the ground and opened her arms. Yuwa-awa. With a joyous cry, Evil Eye broke into a run. Although her fly spell's duration had not yet expired, this was a situation which called for running. Evil Eye ran toward Momon. Perhaps out of surprise, Momon took a ready stance with his swords. Ignoring this, Evil Eye leapt through the air toward him. Since she had been running at full tilt, it felt like she had hit a wall. But because of her vampiric physiology and endurance, no harm was done. And so, Evil Eye tackle-hugged Momon. You did it. You won. You won. As expected of Momon-sama. Do you mind, I'd like some space here. Momon spoke calmly to Evil Eye, who was hugging him like a koala. Maybe he was embarrassed. I win as long as I hug him. Evil Eye was banking on a piece of trivia she had heard of in the past. Some men would use members the opposite sex to bleed off tension after a battle. She was hoping that Momon would be such a man, and that he would pick her for that duty. Evil Eye glimpsed at Nabe, who was glaring at her. First girl wins. Although Evil Eye was grinding her soft body against Momon, his armor meant that he probably did not feel anything, and if she bumped a wound, it would hurt. Ha, forgive me, Nabe, hold my swords. Realizing that this was just wasting her strength, Evil Eye let go, falling from the tree that was Momon. Well, that's true. I should keep an eye out for a good opportunity next time. Now that Jaldabaoth has seen Momon-sama's power, there's no way he'll break his part of the bargain. But even so, there were those who fought, and those who died. Pursuing my own desires will be bad in so many ways. The battle for the capital had ended. But Evil Eye's battle as a woman had just begun. Evil Eye, who was thinking of her next move, turned at the sound of ringing steel. Before her was a group of people. They were adventurers and soldiers and, is that the warrior captain? With everyone else? Beside Gazef Stronov were Lokyus and Tina. Gagarin and Tia were there too. Everyone was covered in grime, a testament to the vicious battles they had fought to get here. They looked around at the aftermath of the intense battle that had taken place here, and then, with an intake of breath, they all looked at Momon. Sensing the meaning of that gesture, Evil Eye whispered to him. Momon-sama, lead us in a cry of victory. But Momon did not do so. Just as Evil Eye was starting to get suspicious, she heard a still, small voice. I'm feeling a bit shy right now. The surprisingly human reaction from the superhuman warrior made Evil Eye laugh out loud. But, doesn't that honor belong to the one who did the most for us? Don't let this chance go by. Momon gripped his sword tightly and thrust it toward the sky. Woohoo! In the next moment, everyone in the plaza raised their fists to the sky, shouting in celebration of their victory. In everyone's mouths was the name of Momon, the hero who had saved the nation. Clone. New paste. Few persons can be made to believe that it is not quite an easy thing to invent a method of secret writing which shall baffle investigation. Yet it may be roundly asserted that human ingenuity cannot concoct a cipher which human ingenuity cannot resolve. Edgar Allan Poe. 185,936 pastes opened. Based on an original idea from sebsavage.net. Sam and Max.